So, Bob, lightning round, what do you say?
Ah, it's been promised before.
Patron Roxy from California, she says, "Hi, Dr. Kirk and Bob. I am opening a private practice soon and trying to determine my late cancellation no-show fee policy." So for those who don't know, what is a late cancellation no-show fee policy, Bob?
It's usually, most people do 24 hours. I do 48. My therapist does 72. It's if you no-show or cancel inside whatever the window is, you have to pay the fee.
The full fee.
The full fee.
Right. Some people, I think, will charge a lower fee.
Like a half fee or something. Yeah, I don't do that.
And your policy is what?
48 hours, full fee.
Traditionally, it was 24.
Yep.
But eventually people are like, well, that's not really enough time.
It's not.
To slot someone else in or figure out some other thing to do with your workday.
We had a couple therapists. For her, it was 7 days.
Yeah. Which makes more sense to me, honestly.
It does. Practically speaking, a therapist can't do anything with 24 hours of time, or even 2 days isn't enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, my policy is, I think, 48 hours. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've looked at it. But the principle that I follow is that if there's a viable excuse, which there usually is, then I don't charge people. If it's like they're sick or their kid is in the hospital or something like that, it's like, well, you didn't mean for that to happen, and it's pretty rare that those kinds of things will happen. So no harm, no foul. I would feel bad to charge. Having said that, if a therapist wants to charge, I'm totally supportive of that because it's your business and it sucks. But, it's sort of like if you buy a vase from a store and you take it home and you drop it, or there's an earthquake, maybe that's a better example, and the vase falls down and breaks, you could understand a store saying, I'm not going to give you your money back. I'm sorry. It's not your fault that the vase broke, but I will lose too much money if I allow these kinds of refunds.
Right.
And that's just kind of the risk that you take when you do that. And so when you make an appointment, you're kind of taking a risk of like, if some act of God causes me not to have the ability to come to this appointment, I'm accepting that risk that I still have to pay for that because this individual's in private practice. They are, their whole family depends on this income. And so, like the broken vase, it's like, I'd go out of business if I just refunded people like that.
Right.
But I don't, I just, I've had the luxury or the guilt or something to just let it go. And if a client makes a mistake regarding like scheduling, like if they say, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I forgot, or oh my God, I double booked myself, then I also will not charge them the first time, just out of guilt. It's not okay. I tell my supervisees, don't be like me. Don't do what I do.
Yeah.
It's like, Mama, don't let your kids grow up to be cowboys. Is that song?
I think that's that song.
Yeah. Isn't that like a song from a cowboy to his girlfriend or wife or someone?
I don't know. I barely know the line.
And it's like, don't let your boys grow up to be like me.
I think that's
song,
the point.
right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying to my supervisees. And then I also say, but if it happens again, then I'll have to charge you.
Yeah.
And then when I charge them the second time, then I don't feel guilty about it or anything.
I always give everybody the first one free.
Yeah.
Even if it's very good, even if it's, I would otherwise charge, I will say to everybody, you get the first one free. And the reason for that is so that...
You tell them up front?
No.
Oh.
I tell them when it happens. I'm like, I don't tell anybody this, but everybody gets the first one free.
Right.
And the reason for that is to orient and to create goodwill. There are times when I don't charge either, though I think that one shouldn't have a policy around that. One should be mindful and careful because you can break the frame and you can make life worse for both you and the client by not holding to what you say you're going to do. That can be destabilizing for people. So depending on, it's important to not be an asshole.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with having a boundary.
Right. Also, in my experience, therapists that break that frame out of guilt in particular will resent their clients eventually.
Yeah, it's not good.
And be upset and burn out. And that's not a good thing for any client.
Right.
So there's that.
If it's guilt, you're looking at the flip side is going to be resentment at some point, and it is not worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, the fee, I guess you could say, oh, that's a lot of money. I mean, I charge $265 for couples. Yeah, but it's also not that much money.
Yeah. To a Seattleite, I suppose.
Right,
also,
right.
It's not covered by insurance. So for those that use insurance, like I used to, if they came to an appointment, their copay was $20.
Right.
If they didn't come to an appointment, then I can't bill their insurance.
You cannot.
So they have to not only pay what the insurance would reimburse me, but my full fee,
Right.
which is often more.
Oh, usually.
Than so they don't pay me the $20 copay as if they missed it. They have to pay a fee that they're not even used to paying normally.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's that. Having said that, I have almost never had a client that pushed back on this. If anything, clients are tripping over themselves to apologize and are very quick to say, and I've already Venmoed you the money and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Let's reschedule. You know, like with the clients that I've worked with, it's always totally. If anything, I'm saying, oh no, don't. No, I mean, your kid is sick in the hospital. Don't please do not worry about it.
Everything's okay.
We're good.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting back to Roxy's question.
Right.
So she's saying she's opening a private practice and she's trying to determine her policy. The standard I've learned since grad school is that we should charge these fees largely in the name of modeling boundaries. So what do you think about that, modeling boundaries?
Well, the way it's written here sounds like that's some kind of bogus thing, but actually it's both therapeutically sound and personally sound. You should have boundaries. You should have boundaries. Like if you don't have boundaries, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah,
That's not helpful.
It depends on what's happening in the circumstance and what's being communicated in the overall frame, right? If this is the only part of the frame that is being played around with. But often if you're weird about this boundary, particularly if you have a hard policy that you don't follow when push comes to shove.
Oh, yeah.
And it's out of your own guilt or enmeshment or inadequacy or you're apologizing for your therapy or something, then in all likelihood you're going to break the frame in other ways. Like you're going to become overly desperate if the client seems to not be changing very quickly, or if the client wants to go over in a session or something like that, or they want to meet you at the Starbucks instead of come to your office or whatever. If you start breaking one boundary, then research shows that you'll start breaking others and it could result in some bad things for the clients and you. So there's that going on. But I've been seeing more and more folks in my therapist Facebook groups making excellent arguments for completely doing away with cancellation charges since they see it as a compassionate thing to do. I'm curious what your thoughts are, to charge or not to charge. Bob, what do you think?
I don't think that's as rigid as charging. Not doing it is as rigid as doing it. So like most things, rigidity is not going to work. Let's not presume that because I think I'm being nice, that that's actually compassion. It could just be guilt. It could be, how many therapists have you trained that felt bad about charging a fee?
All of them.
Yeah. Well, shit, that's quite a statistic, right?
I mean, therapists are, lovely, caring, non-greedy people.
Yeah.
And none of them are excited about even charging clients, let alone charging them for no sessions. I'm usually telling my supervisees to allow themselves to consider this a money-making venture and that they deserve to be fucking paid.
Yeah.
In the same way that a dentist or a surgeon deserves to be paid, right? Well,
Or
you deserve to be paid.
Or
and
the barista at Starbucks,
Yeah.
or
But particularly a clinician who's been through a shit ton of annoying graduate school to get to where you are.
Oh, man.
You deserve to be compensated, and at the very least to live comfortably while you pay off your student loans.
Yeah.
And you don't have to, and the problem is there's a lot of, this sounds funny, but wait until I finish this sentence.
Mm-hmm.
It's made worse because a lot of therapists are women, because women are socialized to be self-sacrificial. And given our current landscape regarding economic awareness of oppression and hardship for people, it creates this conundrum. And, we all should think about oppression and unfairness and how, so many people are just a paycheck away from not having a home or not being able to feed their kids or whatever. That is not okay. And when someone comes to us and they can't afford us and we're loving, aware people, what do we do with that? Well, what I tell people, particularly novice therapists, is it's not your fucking fault that our society is the way that it is. And if anyone should be pulling up the slack, it's seasoned therapists. They're the ones that have paid off their student loans and have paid off half their mortgage and have the privilege and the space to do pro bono services or to give back or whatever. Not people directly out of graduate school that are still eating top ramen and are in debt like $120,000 and slowly going in more debt because of the interest rate on it, and have a couch that they were donated from their uncle who put the couch out on the street, and you said, "Hey, that's a couch." I mean, this is me and you when we graduated from graduate school.
Yeah.
So, it sucks, but it's not your fault, and it's not your responsibility to make up for the deficits of the economic disparities in our society. If you want to, then great. But I've never felt guilty about being able to pay my bills because I work hard in this career. And I want others, and particularly women, to feel that way. And I have to give them a fair amount of pep talking to be able to. And the problem is that a lot of these novice therapists have been told by professors and supervisors that it's the opposite that they're supposed to be focusing on. There are professors and supervisors that will say it's unethical to start a private practice right out of graduate school because you're not going to be serving, lower income people in private practice, because typically in private practice, clients with money are the only people that are going to be able to afford your service. Low income people are at agencies, right? And so that's the choice typically is, do I work at an agency after graduation or do I go into private practice? And so these professors are telling them that it's wrong to go into private practice directly after graduate school.
It's a little bit of hubris to tell people what they should do.
Yeah. Also, they'll say that you're not ready for private practice because you need more time post-grad.
That makes no sense.
Why does that make no sense?
Because if you're not ready for private practice, how the fuck could you possibly be ready for an agency job?
Right.
If anything, you're probably going to see people who are more difficult to work with. Not that they're because of the troubles that they bring.
Yeah, multi-problem families. That's what we call them, meaning that they have problems coming at them from a lot of directions. And yeah, there's a hidden prejudice and classism in that. Of like, well, you're not a good therapist, so you should work with the low-income people first because they don't deserve good therapists or something. Now, do we have a problem here? We do. Low-income people, and particularly people who are just above low income, who don't qualify for welfare services, are being underserved. They can't, they might not even have a therapist that's available, but particularly they can't choose a therapist to find a good one that is a good fit. or they have to deal with a lot of people that are very, very green to the profession and have yet to learn a lot. And that's a problem, but that's not my fault. And I'm doing everything that I can to advocate otherwise and to vote otherwise and to advocate for raising taxes and allocating that money. But I'm not going to, live paycheck to paycheck because the system is fucking people over. You know what I mean? That's not my fault. If I wanted to, and as I gained privilege and power, I started giving back by taking on pro bono clients that wouldn't be able to afford any therapy otherwise. But I only did that once I was out of the woods regarding finances, So I think that this notion of like not charging late fees is sort of in that camp. It's if you support, in these Facebook groups, if you support charging people, because it only takes one person to say like, well, what about people who are struggling monetarily? Like, you're going to charge those people? That is classist. That is participating in the capitalistic oppression of the underclass. There's not going to be many people on Facebook that are going to say, that's not how I see it. And why is that my fault? You're going to see a lot of upvotes. And it's a good point, and let's talk about it, but what's the solution is the thing.
Well, the problem is it's rigid. It's a one-size-fits-all opinion that just silly. I mean, it's silly to be rigid. So, my opinion, what was their name?
Roxy.
You shouldn't do that, Roxy. You should come up with a policy that fits for you, but it shouldn't be. I don't think it should be rigid on either end.
And the justification, what Roxy is exhibiting is very. This is the last point I'll make about this. Is that Roxy is providing that dichotomy that I often hear, which is you're either a capitalistic oppressor, or you need to model boundaries. You need to provide therapy through this policy. You know what I mean? They'll say it's harming the client by not charging them. That's what you'll hear, right? You know what I mean? Because that's essentially, and that's a valid point that you could bring up.
You could.
But to me, it's totally fine to just admit to ourselves that we don't like losing money.
Yeah.
When we allocate an appointment time, 1:00 on a Wednesday, and we're charging $150, and depending on that revenue, to pay for the taxes and all the office and the graduate school and my own bills, and someone no-shows or they late cancel, that client is essentially taking $150 out of my business account. And I don't want that to happen, and I don't deserve that to happen. And they could have called me 48 hours ago, or they could have contacted me last week, or they could have managed their life better. Or even if it was an act of God, like an earthquake or their kid gets sick or something. Yeah, it sucks. And I have bills to pay. It's okay to admit that. I don't understand why therapists have such a hard time. You ask a dry cleaner owner or a restaurant owner or a car lot owner or, I don't know, Bill Gates. You ask these people, why do you charge money for your product? They're like, well, because I want money. Is that why would I just volunteer my time to give people things and therefore not be able to live a life where I can actually function as a person in a capitalistic republic of our society? I like money. Money buys shit, and I want to save money for retirement. I want to buy a car that isn't constantly breaking down. I want to buy a condo that's in a neighborhood that I feel safe to walk to the store. I want to buy better shoes. I want to have faster internet, or I want to go to the movies and not have to worry about buying popcorn. Oh my God, I went to the movies with my family the other day and got popcorn and drinks, and it was like $55 or something.
How many of you?
3 people.
3 people?
Yeah.
And it was $55 for snacks?
Yeah. Something like that. I mean, I don't quote me on that, but I was like, whoa.
It was outrageous. Wow. Well, how was your popcorn?
It was good.
Yeah, at least that.
Kung Fu Panda 4.
Oh.
Worth a watch. Not as good as the other 3 in my opinion, but a 7 out of 10. And it's okay as a therapist and as a woman to say you like money.
Yeah.
You like getting paid for your career, but because of our sexist society and because of our all or nothing bleeding heart culture in our industry, it's like we can't admit that to ourselves. We have to say, well, it's bad for the client if we don't charge them. Okay, maybe, but also you deserve to get paid at work.
It's bad for me if I don't charge them.
Right. It's bad for me. Can't you say it's bad for me? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Have to tie everything to compassion. You don't.
And then people can say, well, it's mean to charge people. It's like, no, it's not. Do you say that at McDonald's? It's mean to charge for a Big Mac? It's the way it works. It's the way our society works. You can have a complaint about our society and about the system. You could say we should have a different system for sure. But if an individual is trying to exist within a system that they can't change, then you can't blame them for the system. Let's take a break.
Yep.
Let's do an OPP, Bob. These are all people that became patrons in late 2021.
Oh.
They are middle tier patrons, all from the United States. We have Carrie from Bella Vista, Arkansas. AR, right? That's Arkansas? Because Arizona is AZ.
AZ, right, yeah.
So Bella Vista, Arkansas. Elizabeth from Phoenix, Arizona. Kit from San Diego. Mary from Panorama City, California, or Mari. Megan from Hermosa Beach, California. Nikki from Jacksonville, Florida. Seth from Atlanta, Georgia. Carla from Woodstock, Georgia. Laura from Lilburn, Georgia. Mara from Pekin, Illinois. Melanie from Cambridge, Mass. Amoon from Jersey City, New Jersey. Joe from Albuquerque. Rebecca from Columbus, Ohio. Dana from Providence, Rhode Island. Anna from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Zana from Hurst, Texas. Sam from Fort Worth, Texas. Julia from Layton, Utah. Kayleen from Olympia, Washington. Wow. Susan from Tacoma, Washington. Nancy from Seattle, Washington.
Wow.
Chiara from Brookline, Mass. And from God knows where, we have Heather, Earth, and Laura. Laura, thank you so much for becoming a patron and staying a patron this whole time. So let's read an email, Bob. This is from an honest patron. She says, I want to express my deep gratitude for the empathy and consideration you bring to discussions on disordered attachment styles and personality disorders in your podcast. Though I've been estranged from my parents for 3 years, having a partner with a close-knit family brings mixed emotions. So she's saying, I've been estranged from my parents for 3 years, right. So probably a lifetime of difficulty with her parents. And she has a partner in a close-knit family, and that causes her to have mixed emotions. While their warmth in their family is comforting, it sometimes stirs both joy and grief, highlighting the stark contrast from my own family. When I express my feelings of loneliness to my partner, it seems to imply inadequacy on their part. I think that they feel blamed or something. And articulating the desire for loving parents to my partner can feel draining on my partner. The intensity of this pain reaches a point where when I attempt to share it with my partner now, I often become nonverbal, shutting down and struggling to continue speaking. The struggle to verbalize my feelings impedes my ability to request the love and intimacy that I seek. How does one convey this kind of grief and plead for love? Bob, what do you think?
Is it necessary to talk about your grief in your request for care and attention from your sweetheart? Does it have to be that way? I'm not sure it does. It sounds like pretty garden variety envy, like they have something that you wish you had. So yeah, of course you feel that way. So I just keep coming back to the same thing, which is what's the purpose of talking about your history, or your pain if what you want is, for them to hug you or give you a kiss or make love with you or care about you or listen to you talk about your day or whatever it is that, all that normal stuff that, humans, partners ask of one another. What makes it important to preface it with the fact that you were traumatized or abused or neglected or that
you're saying just ask directly?
Yeah, why not? Now listen, I'm not saying that's easy. I'm saying it's possible, and perhaps it would help you closer to what you want, what you actually want, and maybe spare your partner whatever comes up for them. On the other hand, you could always just talk about that too. You could always just talk about with your partner, what's it like when I tell you about, because, they deserve care, and too, just they had a different experience doesn't mean that they don't want or deserve your care and love around whatever comes up for them whenever they come in contact with what you should have had that you didn't have. So I'm sure that's no picnic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard this before because I have one of those semi-ideal families, and people will tell me that they have that feeling when they learn about this. In fact, when I made the episodes with my parents, a lot of people emailed in or commented on YouTube saying that they had those mixed emotions. On one hand, it's like very endearing, and it's nice to know that good families are out there where parents truly care about their kids, and intellectually they know that, but they don't often see it firsthand. So it felt good and heartwarming and optimistic and those things. And at the same time, they would feel an upwelling of pain because they're contrasting their own childhood with mine. And that's totally understandable.
Yeah.
Now, you're asking how, anonymous patron, how to talk about this with your partner. And it's unknown to me what the dynamic is, so let me throw a lot of things at the wall. One simple possibility is that your partner feels responsible when you are experiencing something negative. And that needs to be addressed, because if every time you're having a negative experience that could be solved by him or her or them listening to you, and instead they have an anxiety reaction and try to snuff it out or reject it or something, then that's not going to go well. And so I don't know if that's the case, and I wouldn't know how to get out of that, but couple therapy can help with that. Mm-hmm. It also could be that when you are presenting your feelings to your partner, you might be coming across in a hostile manner. Like you might say, wow, your family sure does communicate often. And in your heart, you're grieving the fact that you didn't have that closeness and you wish you did. And it's coming out, though, as hostile and judgmental and critical. You're not saying that in your email. There's no evidence of that, but that's just another thing to kind of look at. But the thing that I would say generally to my partner if I was experiencing this is something like, hey, there's been this dynamic going back and forth for a while. I just want to tell you what's going on for me. Is that, I grew up with not great parents, and it has had a lot of effects on me, and it makes me very sad. And you have been raised by parents that are really good, and you're really close, and I'm really happy for you for that. And this is not your fault, but when I see it, it reminds me of how shitty my childhood was, and I feel sad sometimes. Your family isn't, quote unquote, making me feel sad, but it's just a reminder of how shitty I had it. And when I have those feelings, it's not your fault, obviously, but it's my parents' fault. It's their fucking fault. And when I have those feelings that are always there, by the way, they just become more felt when I'm in this state. All I'm looking for from you is that you just understand. That's it. There's no fix. We can't go back in time. I certainly don't want you to feel guilty for having a good family. I just, when I have those feelings, all I'm looking for is what my parents really never gave me, which is just someone that listens to me and understands. And that's all I'm looking for. You know, there's just, all you got to do is say, yeah, that sucks. I'm so sorry, honey, and hug me or something. You know, that'll, I'll probably have this feeling for the rest of our life together. So it's a package deal. The other thing I'll say, anonymous patron, is, I don't know if you're doing this, but a solution overall is to adopt them and have them adopt you. You know, you can start anew from now moving into the future. So, you know, you can ask for that. I don't know if they'll give it. Sounds like they would, but you deserve it.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. We get back. Let's finish this episode. What do you say?
Yeah.
All right, we're back from the break. Let's do another OPP. Oh, there are no more OPPs.
What?
I've run out of OPPs on my list.
How'd that happen?
Well, I need to update the list. Is the thing.
That's how it happened.
What it might mean is that we've done all the 2021 people.
So you're coming to the end of the pandemic then in your OPPs, right?
Yeah.
2022, right? Spring?
Yeah. And I think maybe most of our patrons signed up pre-2022. I'm not sure about that, but
I was an early adopter.
But another thing, Bob.
Yeah.
Let's get to the emails.
Oh, yeah.
I'm all out of emails.
What?
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about?
I'm just going to ask you random questions.
Oh, all right.
Do you have a favorite flower?
Tulips.
Do you have a favorite, like, soda?
Diet Coke.
Why?
Because it's not sugary? Like
Yeah.
regular sugar, like Coke?
Have you always liked Diet Coke?
No. I like Coke, but I can't drink it anymore because it's too sweet.
Oh.
If you drink enough Diet Coke, you can't go back to Coke. It's a one-way door. Sorry, it just can't be done.
What about Diet Pepsi?
Nobody has that, so I never buy it. I don't know. Is it any good?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's different.
Oh, well, I should try
What
it.
about Coke Zero?
No. I've had that. Coke Zero, no, gross. In France, they call it Coke Light, Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Coke Light. That's
Or
fun to
Coke
say.
Max. Sometimes I'll see that at places.
Coke Max.
What's your favorite season?
Spring.
Why?
I like the green. The green comes back, and the leaves and the flowers start coming, and the birds and the squirrels and all that. I mean, they're there at my house all year round because Colleen is a very good steward of the birds and squirrels. But spring, because it's like hope.
But not summer.
No, summer's good, but if I had to have a favorite, it's that transition from the winter.
Because Seattle can be pretty dreary in the spring.
It's been a crap spring this year.
No, we had like 2 or 3 weeks where it was like really nice weather.
It's been really cold and rainy, and my memory only goes back 2 weeks, maybe. So
It's always cold and rainy in the spring in Seattle. I always expect that.
Yeah.
I always say 51 degrees and overcast until July 1.
yeah,
And then
Colin
when you get a nice day, then you're like, oh, that's a change of pace.
well, when we have the nice days, they're really deluxe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you miss the East Coast?
In general?
Yeah. For anything?
Oh, no. The spring in the East Coast and the fall on the East Coast is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, I like the fall here too, but the fall on the East Coast is just an explosion of color, and it's really wonderful. And I have nostalgia for Penn State and that part of the world, and I have nostalgia for Willow Grove, though my mom don't live in our grown-up house no more, and so I don't know if I'll ever go back to my grown-up house. even though she still owns it, she's in a memory care place, and she's never going back to that house. So I'm not sure I ever will either. So the last time we were there was last Thanksgiving, and I was like, yeah, I guess it's all right with me to let this go. I don't have attachment to the place anymore, though. Sometimes I'm nostalgic for the places I was when I was growing up, the places I lived, and the experiences that I had. And a couple of years ago, I went back to the psych hospital where I cut my teeth, and you can't go in, but it's this big old farm.
You could fake a mental illness.
I could, but I worked on the children's unit, and I couldn't fake a kid's mental illness. But it's beautiful there, and being in a place reminds you of what it is, and that was really cool. And I worked at a runaway shelter, and I knocked on the door, and it's now
you did a whole kind of circuit.
Yeah, I did a tour of my places, and really fun to do. And they wouldn't let me into the runaway shelter because it's not a runaway shelter anymore, and there's HIPAA rules, and it's now it's a group home for girls, for teens. And I was like, oh yeah, I get it. I get why you're. Yes, of course. But it's just a house on a street in State College, and it's not special, except it's special to me because that was where I worked when I first got out of college, and I like that town quite a bit. If I was going to live somewhere in the East Coast, I'd just live in State College because I just like it there. And yeah, so, but other than that, no, I don't really miss
food. East Coast miss?
Well, cheesesteaks are really good, but you can't eat those every day. But yes, I do. I like a cheesesteak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you haven't found a good one out here?
Colleen, remember Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Oh, she made good cheesesteaks.
Well, you had like a variety, right? There was like choices, I remember.
I don't know. I got the rolls from a place in down Rainier Valley that gets their rolls from Philadelphia. Oh, good bread makes a good sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were pretty deluxe. Some of the pizza there is really good. No, but not really. No.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't much interested in food when I was a kid.
What do you want to do before you die?
What do I want to do before I die? I'd like to finish my book. Yeah. I'd like to have my house paid off. That'd be nice to be out of debt, like really out of debt. I haven't been out of debt since I was a kid.
I don't think people consider mortgage debt.
I consider it debt. I know it's dumb to do that, but I do. I consider it debt, and I look forward to the day when it's not on me anymore.
Yeah.
I guess, those are kind of modest ambitions, yeah.
Is there a sex position you want to try before you die?
I like to do them all again.
Every single one?
Well, why not? I mean, actually, better get in some cardiovascular shape. Sex is work, man.
I mean, have you seen of course you've seen the Kama Sutra because you made your own pop-up
I did.
Kama Sutra book.
Yep. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff in there that's...
You want to try all of them?
Extracurricular. I don't want to do that swing thing, like that's okay. I don't need that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like the standing ones and the...
Standing ones are hard. Have you noticed that? It's really hard on the legs.
Yeah.
And my knees are not what they used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just got knee pads the other day that are like roller skates.
For Kama Sutra?
No, for my garage. But they have wheels on them.
Garage Sutra.
Yeah, Garage Sutra. Yeah, right. Yeah. They have wheels on them so that you can roll around on your knees, and because it's hard for me to get up once I get down there, and it's too hard to not have some pad on my knee. And so, anyways, they're like roller skates.
Dual use.
Yeah, they don't roll good on carpet, is what I'm told. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you first open your eyes in the morning, what do you think?
I think I gotta turn on the hot water recirculation system. So I have an app on my phone that does that.
For
instant hot water.
Yeah, but for you?
Yeah, for shower.
So that when you shower?
Yeah.
And then you shower right away?
Brush my teeth, do my water pick. Pretty good about that. Shave, and then I'll shower. Yeah.
Because you're a night sweater.
Oh yeah, I can be at times. Mostly, I'm just restless and I toss and turn. I'm not. I don't actually sweat much anymore. But I like.
But you just hop out of bed and walk to the shower.
Pretty much most every day.
That,
yeah,
like, right
that's
away.
my wake up routine.
Yeah.
And if I don't take a shower, often I don't feel like I ever really wake up. Yeah.
And you have a coffee every day.
Yeah, Colleen makes my coffee. She's my personal barista.
And what kind of coffee is it?
It's a vanilla latte.
Vanilla latte.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, delicious.
Espresso machine?
Yeah.
Like an actual...
Like a real espresso machine.
Like you have to tamp the... Yeah.
Yeah. She's gotten really good at it. I can do it for myself when I have to. I have to do this weekend because I got to get up early for a training. And that's too early. 7 o'clock is too early for Colleen. So I'll make my own. But I don't do as good a job.
You used to go to Starbucks every day.
Used to.
But you don't anymore.
No. No, she makes me a 16-ounce latte every day.
Mm-hmm. Do you miss going to Starbucks?
No, my Starbucks is different now. It doesn't have seating anymore. And they actually shrunk the store because since they don't have seating, they don't need the floor space. So it's really a pickup joint. Like you just go and you pick up your coffee and you go. You don't stay.
I thought you meant like a pickup joint for dating.
It was probably more a pickup joint for dating back when they had seating. Now it's just get in, get out. So
because we used to call them that, like before we called them. I'm just reminded that before we called them meat markets. Like a club where you meet people. It's expected.
It wasn't the meat MEET market.
Yeah, we call them pickup joints.
Pickup joints. Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
And then you take a shower.
Yeah.
And then what do you do?
Put some clothing on and check my email, and most days go to work.
Do you respond to emails?
Yeah.
You probably don't get very many emails compared to other people.
How many do you get?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I get a lot of work emails. But I'm just guessing that the average person wakes up in the morning and there's like 25 emails.
Oh, 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What sort of emails do you get?
I get one from you if you publish new content, or on Tuesdays, the Tougher Bluff.
Oh.
I get one from Rex Kruger.
So you get notifications from Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get one from the EFT group. There's like a listserv. They don't call it a listserv. They call it something else. I don't know what they call it. I never read it. And I get emails from clients, either prospective or current. That's pretty much it. Oh, and I have 2 emails. I have a Yahoo and then one for my practice. And the Yahoo one gets all the businessy stuff. Mm-hmm. And I do get a lot of those, like Netflix published a new thing, or
you use that email to register things.
Yeah. And then, I get a lot of political emails like Nancy Pelosi, blah, blah, blah. I don't read those. They're not really from anybody, but
yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to email Bob, email us through the website.
Yes.
And then I'll forward it.
You'll forward it. You're
Bob.
good about that.
Stacy will forward it to you.
Yeah. She's good about that.
Yeah. And by the way, I have been updating the website. It's not drastically different, but it's better.
Oh.
So
I should look at it.
Yeah. I mean, I spent a lot of time composing and choosing pictures for 2 pages. One is about the podcast and the other is about me.
Oh.
So you are in both of those.
Oh, right
so
on.
you should read those.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah. It was interesting, because the website people that I was working with, Jocelyn in particular, was saying that I needed to have something like that. And so she was telling me to write a summary of me and my life or something.
Like a bio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But longer than your typical little blurb,
Uh-huh. Oh.
And I sent it to her. I spent a lot of time writing that sucker, and I sent it to her, and she's like, yeah, it's got to be shorter. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I tried to refine it and send it. She's like, yeah, it should be shorter. And I was like, crap, okay. So I kept, editing, reducing and reducing until... Yeah. But it also made me think, well, what's the most important things I should be saying?
That's good.
What do I want to... What can't I edit out. What are things that I will say I can't edit that bit out.
Right.
And I revised it several times because I'm not a natural writer, but I think, eventually get to a written piece that is getting the point across in a semi-fluid and maybe slightly interesting way. But I don't get there immediately. I have to read it a month later and go that was a little funny.
That sounds like every writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think writers like you, it's much faster and the end result is better. But
I don't know if that's true.
I mean, I can communicate.
Yeah, you can. I read your book.
It's not well written. It's not like literature or something.
Yeah.
I don't have that skill. But anyway.
Yeah. Good book.
So you can go to the website and check those things out.
Does it have a link to buy your book?
There's a page with links.
Yeah.
That should have there. But all you got to do is just Google my name on Amazon, and the book will come up.
Right on.
And it still sells, that book. Every month, a handful of people buy that book.
That's fantastic. It's a really good book.
It's very strange to me because I don't talk about it
No.
much, if at all.
Do you know who your
I don't.
customers are?
I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know who's buying it.
Podcasters, maybe? Podcast listeners?
Well, it's a supervision book.
Yeah.
So, listeners? Yeah, I always assume it's got to be.
How else would
why would anyone else buy my book?
Right.
But my fantasy is that it's being assigned in supervision classes.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Classes on how to be a supervisor, or a new supervisor is looking for guidance.
Right.
There's a number of books out there that are pretty good. But my book's different because it's of a different style. It's more of the style of a Yalom style.
Yeah.
Where I'm talking about myself and my own experiences.
Yeah.
But I also am really buttoned up regarding research in that fucker.
You are? Do you have to do a new edition at some point?
Have to?
Well, update it for the
for research-wise? No. I mean, the principles and observations of supervision, it's not one of those things that's going to change with technology or anything. Yeah. I mean, I suppose eventually it will be slightly out of date because AI will probably play a role at some point. I hadn't even really thought about that. That anybody, but just to personalize it to me, two things. One, I could create a product that people paid very little for because it would be very easy to set up, where it was unofficial supervision consultation that was AI trained on everything that I've ever said in the podcast related to clinical work.
Holy shit.
And also I could feed in principles, spend a week just going through questions that the AI might ask me. What would you say if someone asked this question of, in supervision, or how do you think about this or that? Or what else should I incorporate? Because I could literally just tell the AI to incorporate other literature or the ethical codes of, and what I think of those things or whatever. And then for, $5 a month or something, people could pay to have this AI. And it's not official, and it would have all these disclaimers of the AI can have issues, so you just have to take it for what it's worth. But people, and I'm not saying that it's just me, it could be anybody. It could be, you could have someone put together an AI that's trained on Freud.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
You could have psychoanalysis with Freud.
Well, that and also supervision. And supervision probably easier because his literature was focused on communicating to other psychoanalysts. And there's a lot of letters. I have a book behind me that is this huge tome, 800 pages, and it's just the letters between Freud and Jung. It's just their correspondence. And Freud is trying to guide Jung, So you could have that service that you pay for, that will come down the line at some point. Or you are a therapist yourself and you just say, I want to have my own personal Freud or Kirk or Bob, and I'll just tell it to train itself on all the available online free material, and I want the AI to create a personal supervisor for me that I can't use officially, but I want that.
Can you do that now?
Yeah.
Wow.
You can do that right now.
That's weird.
And you can train it on someone's voice. And there are recordings of Freud talking. So it would talk to you. You could speak out loud to it. You wouldn't have to type in. You could just talk to it.
I never have to see you in person again.
And because there's so much video of me online, you could just even have a video of me talking.
Wow.
You could do this right now.
A deep fake Kirk.
Yeah, essentially. But it can be used for, not unethical things. It could be used for good. Yeah. An
That's
AI version of you and me as therapists will be eventually made by somebody, barring any sort of legal. But even because eventually people will have their own AI software on their personal computer, unless there's some sort of DRM thing that prevents you from doing it.
What's DRM?
I won't bore you with the details. We don't have time. But point is that people can have their own software AI on their own personal computers or on their phone, and you can't stop that one individual from. It's sort of like if I want to use Photoshop to change Hillary Clinton's outfit, you can't stop me from doing that.
No,
I can take a picture of Hillary Clinton, put it on my computer. Right. And use Photoshop to do whatever I want to her image on my computer. I can't sell that or.
Well, it sounds like mixtapes from when we were kids.
Yeah.
You just record your own mixtape.
In the same way, AI, you'll have your own software on your computer and you will be able to just tell that AI in your computer to do whatever you want it to do to whoever you want it. You could have an AI combine you and me visually and our voices and our minds. You could have this like Bob Kirk hybrid,
a Burke
as a therapist or a Cobb. And you could have that's available now. It's just either expensive or it would require cobbling together a number of services. Like you have an AI service for language, you have an AI service for voice, you have an AI service for image. But eventually it's just going to be one product and it'll be on your phone.
That's scary. Curb. I think we should be called Curb.
Karab. Bork.
That stuff scares me, man. I'm not interested in learning it or knowing it. I don't want to.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
And it's happening. It's already happened.
Yeah.
And I'm actually kind of excited for the positive side. The downside, of course, is terrifying. Mm-hmm. But I'd be curious. Wouldn't you be curious to create an AI? If I could snap my fingers and create an AI of you based on everything that you've said. And it would be a version of you, of course, because it wouldn't know how you really are in the real world.
Right.
But it would be like your therapy persona, right?
Right.
Wouldn't you find it interesting to have a verbal conversation with yourself where you just asked it questions?
That would be interesting, yeah.
You could ask that AI Bob to be your therapist for a couple hours and just see what happens. I mean, wouldn't you be curious?
I would be curious, yeah.
What it would do, how it would feel to be in the other person's shoes from you.
How it would handle my sexual transference?
Wait, would you be horny for each other?
I'm horny for myself. That is trippy.
Yeah, and that's just one.
Yeah, right.
That's just one. You could have an AI trained on one of your parents,
right,
and have some kind of conversation.
Some really
and just play around with it. Just be like, I wonder what. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for that episode. Well, for the record, do you mind if someone in the future uses their AI software? Because it'll happen. But do you mind if they create an AI Bob therapist that these people in the future interact with.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not like considering it therapy because it's not a real human being, but they step into that interaction trying to get a therapist. Because, a lot of people want you as their therapist.
Oh.
And so in the future, someone will be motivated by that to create an AI version of you as a therapist and interact with you. Do you mind about that?
No, I don't mind that. Is it going to be open source where they can like?
It might be. Well, that would be another question.
Yeah.
Because if you don't want to say that, because that's intellectual property, essentially. You don't want to give permission. I mean, you can, but I wouldn't give permission for people to own you.
Oh,
as
got
an
it.
AI.
So if they do a mixtape their own and it's just their own thing, and maybe they give it to a few. Yeah. No, I don't care about that. I mean, good luck. Who knows if it's going to be any good? But yeah,
Okay.
no, that'll be all right. You?
Yeah, I'm going to create a version of you to be my therapist. How are
you going to handle the sexual transference?
Well, that is it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because
you deserve it.